Hello, my name's Martin Fish and I hope you're enjoying the virtual Chorley Flower Show. One of the talks that I would have been doing at the show is looking at a range of plants that you can grow in the house for flowers and foliage. So obviously it can't be at the show, so I thought I would get a few plants from our house and talk to them. So I brought them outside into the garden just to show you. And it's great growing house plants because you don't need a garden, and by growing a range that flower and have different coloured foliage and shapes and textures, you can get interest in your house on windowsills and balconies and by patio doors all year round. So I'm just going to talk quickly about a selection of them and then give you a few tips on keeping them in really good condition. And one that you'll instantly recognise, I'm sure, is this one. This one is the good old-fashioned spider plant, Chlorophytum. These have been around for years, were really popular, went a bit out of fashion, but once again I'm pleased to say that these are one of the in plants at the moment. So if you've got one of these, you're certainly on trend. They'll live for years, and it's one of those plants that once you've got it, it keeps on giving. You've got it for life, because if I show you on this young one here, and this one was taken off that one, they produce these runners like this, and at the end of the runners you've got lots of little small immature plants, and all we do is we pinch these off, put them in a small pot as I did with this one. They root and grow really quickly, so you can give them to all your friends and spread them around. This one has got quite a vigorous root system on it, and this one now needs to go into a bigger pot. So you've got them. They're really good as well in any condition in the house, and they're good at sort of taking impurities out the air, so that's why they use them a lot in offices. One with a contrasting colour foliage is this one. This is one of the what we call the pepper plants. This is Peperomia, and Peperomia has got these lovely sort of round crinkly leaves. They can be green, but this one's got these lovely plum coloured leaves, and then it has these flower spikes later on in the year. So just something a little bit different there, and again happy on a windowsill. Doesn't like to be too much light, so this is great on a shady windowsill. Now if you like flowers, then one of my favourites is the good old-fashioned Streptocarpus, and there are hundreds and hundreds of lovely varieties of these. They are lovely. They will flower in the house from May, June time right the way through until September. Just beautiful flowers. They come originally from South Africa, where they grow sort of in dampish places with a bit of woodland around them, so shade. So rule number one is never put them in a really hot, sunny, south-facing windowsill, because they won't like it. I grow a few in my greenhouse, but I have to shade them. And the secret with these is just to keep deadheading, and we've got lots of new flowers coming on this one here, and to encourage these lovely new flower buds, we've got to take off the old ones, and as soon as the flowers fade, we just pinch them off, making sure we get the little seed pod underneath them, because we don't want them to produce seed. And we just keep going around pinching them off. Makes the plant look so much better anyway, but it also encourages new flowers. And when that flowering stalk finishes completely, you would then pinch it out. I'm going to do it down at the bottom and get rid of it, and then you get lots of new ones. So really good one to keep, and they come in all different colours. This is one here called Adele. This one is Tanya. Lots of them have got ladies' names, and just such a lovely range of colour, and they'll grow for years and years and years on your windowsill. And then if you want foliage and something trailing, this is a lovely one as well. This one is a type of Plectranthus, Plectranthus australis. Just a lovely apple green leaf, and this one is so easy to grow from cuttings. You just literally snap the end off, take the lower leaves off, put it in a pot, and away it goes. So it's another one that you can keep going for years and years and years. One that you will also recognise is this one. This is the good old-fashioned mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria. Really tough plant. This one will stand really tough conditions. If you're the sort of person that forgets to water your plants, this one won't mind at all. It will stand it fairly dry, but it obviously thrives if you do give it a bit more care, and it has these lovely sword-like leaves there with this lovely golden edge on it. Stays in a pot like this for quite a few years, but I can feel that this one is getting pot bound, so maybe next year I'll go into a bigger pot. But it just gives that height and structure if you're making a little arrangement like this. And then this one is a Coleus. Now, some people grow these outside. You can grow some from seed, but this one, which is called Campfire with these lovely sort of burnt orange leaves, is one that you have to grow from cuttings. And they're lovely all the way through the summer. This one is about to flower, and I don't want the flowers because I think the flowers detract. So what I do is just literally pinch the flowering stalk off, and then we'll get some nice new side shoots growing there to create an even bushier plant. But if you do want to take a cutting, it is literally just a case of snipping off one of the little side shoots like that, and then cutting it below a leaf joint and taking off the lower leaves and putting them apart, and they root really easy. And now's a good time to do it to get new plants for next year. And then we've got here, I think probably this is the most popular flowering house plant that anybody grows. This is the Moth Orchid, the Phalaenopsis. Again, in a lovely range of colours. They've got these beautiful white waxy flowers on this one here. And very easy to look after. They don't need lots of sunshine. A cool windowsill is ideal for these. And when you're watering these, don't overwater them. Water them. They're grown in a bark compost. Water them so the water runs through, and then let them drain, and then pop them back in here. Never ever let them stand in water or the roots will rot off. And a good little tip is, if you can see the roots through the transparent pot and they've got green tips on them, that means they're hydrated and they don't need watering. When they go a silvery colour, they're in need of water. And what I do with them is, when they've flowered, I cut the flowers down, and you can see on this one here, that's where I cut the old flowering stalk down to, and then it's produced a new one through the early part of the summer, and this one's doing exactly the same and will give you a second flowering. So again, you can keep them going and going and going. And then just a couple to finish off, and then just a few tips on care. Begonias. I love begonias, and this is one that you can grow outside in the summer in the garden in a pot. I've got quite a big one that I put out every year. It's a little tuberous begonia called Begonia sutherlandii, and it's just got these beautiful single tangerine coloured flowers and a lovely sort of arching trailing habit. So it grows from a tuber, so it will die back in the autumn to the tuber, and then you just keep it dry and frost free. As soon as you start to water it again in the spring, it will burst into life and you'll get this lovely head, and they will self-propagate really easily because they produce little bulbils that you find, and very often there's one in a pot just here. They drop on the pot, and I've just lifted that one out, and you can see there is a little miniature plant that it's done itself. So if you just carefully take those out the compost and pot them up, that will produce a lovely young plant about this size in 2 years' time. But it is one you can keep going for years and years. And then this one is just a baby. This is one of the Begonia rex. Again, grown for its leaf, not the flower, this type of begonia, but it's just got these lovely, lovely patterns on the leaf. Now this one is in a small pot. I need to put this maybe into a 5-inch pot and grow it on. And this is another good one for a shady part of the house. So, few tips on looking after your plants. What do you need? Well, this time of the year, most plants will love to be brought outside. So if you've got foliage plants or even flowering plants, bring them outside on a patio or a balcony. Stand them somewhere out of direct sunlight. They don't want the hot sun beating down on them. So a shady corner somewhere, and water them. They will love it. It will just rejuvenate them. It's being outside in the fresh air. But if you can't do that, then the first thing is you've got to make sure that they're watered on a regular basis. And at this time of the year, quite regularly, because they're growing. And the easiest way to tell if it needs watering is just to feel the compost or lift the plant. If it feels light, then the chances are it needs a bit of water. And we need to feed them. People don't often feed them enough. So all sorts of things you can use. Baby Bio has been around a long time. This one will promote leaf growth, and all you literally do is to put a few drops of the concentrate into a pint of water, and then do that once a week or once a fortnight, and that will keep them healthy. Or if you use something like Phostrogen or a tomato fertilizer high in potash, that's ideal for flowering plants like the Streptocarpus, or you could even use that on your orchids as well. You can buy foliar sprays that have got a bit of feed in, so these are great for things like orchids just to give them a little light misting. The nutrients are taken in through the foliage and it shines them at the same time. So watering and feeding are essential, and a good idea as well, if you've got a warm room and it's a dry atmosphere, just to create that humidity, just get yourself a little sprayer so that you can just mist over them. You know, put them on the draining board, or if they're outside, give them a mist, and it just creates that lovely moist conditions that these like, because most of them come from warm, humid climates. And then finally, don't be afraid to do a little bit of snipping if you need to. I've already pinched the tip out of the Coleus, but the last plant to show you is this one here, and it's not a very healthy one, to be fair. It's been grown in a dark room in the house and it's really struggled. It's the peace lily, which has these lovely spathes on there, and it will grow in pretty tough conditions. It's one that doesn't mind it a bit dark and being neglected, but I'm afraid I've neglected this one a little bit too much, so I need to practice what I preach with this one. So I'm going to give it a good feed to give it a boost, and then one or two of the leaves, like this one here, are looking tatty. That one will never go green, so I'm just going to snip that one off and get rid of it completely. And if there's any damaged bits on there, likewise, I'm going to just give it a bit of a tidy up, just so that it looks a little bit better to start with, and then with a feed, a little bit of misting, a little bit more light, that one should perk up and look much better in a month or two. So enjoy your houseplants. They're really good to grow. They're good for the atmosphere. They give off oxygen. They make you feel better in the house. And most of them are really, really easy to look after. So hopefully next year we'll be back at the Chorley Flower Show and I can bring some plants along and talk to you in person. But for now, enjoy your garden. Thank you.